Hey, it's going to be a fun hour today with a dentist from Harvard University, townie for a long time, David Wank. And David, how did you go from Harvard University to creating books and online courses on Dentaltown about website development, search engine optimization, social media? I mean, you're really out on top of that. How did you go from dentistry to websites?
Well, I didn't go. I guess it was a lateral shift because I still see patients 5 days a week, and I do this also. And you know what? You kind of have the same problems because patients want to change the denture after it's done, and clients want to change a website after it's done. So it's the exact same thing. You just change the nature. But I've always been a computer person, I guess. My father's an attorney, so he had those PC XTs in the 80s. And in the same way that my dad can fix his car, I don't know my way around the hood. I got a computer in front of me, and that was, before the days where the hard drives parked by themselves, and then was programming and coding, and then it took off from there. I did it to make, some beer money in college, and then more and more and more. Went to dental school. Then I got a real client and said, oh, let's make this into a company. So I did that, then said, we better get some legal agreements going on here, and then it took off from there. And Dentaltown's been great because it's a way to, really connect with colleagues. And they say, you're on Dentaltown too? Yeah, I didn't know. So, it's been great. Even the guys in my study club, I met through Dentaltown. So it's really cool.
So how old are you?
I am 38.
38, I'm 52. So you were, how old were you when you first got on the internet? I mean, I think I was about 35.
Well, let's see. When I was at Tufts, I have a degree in English Lit. So I had to talk my way into dental school because everybody was a science major. They said, how's Shakespeare going to help you in dental school? And I said, talk my way out of the extraction? I want to say, well, when did I start dental school? College in 94. And that's when we were using Unix. I was taking a computer science course. So we were in Linux. We were in Linux using links, and I guess it was Netscape, the Mosaic was the first browser on the Sun Spark systems.
Right.
Which were awesome. You had to go to the special lab, and it was the Spark systems with Mosaic. And then from there, email we did, with Emacs. It was Linux. It was Unix. So that was great.
So you've seen where this internet thing has started and where it's gone. Where's it going with websites, search engine optimization? I mean, I see it in my life that women are making 9 out of 10 appointments. I haven't seen a woman with a telephone book in her hand, and I can't even remember. Most everybody I know, when they drop off a telephone book at your front door, you just walk into the trash can and recycle it. They're always on their cell phone. So in a big town like Phoenix or Chicago or Dallas, how do you get when mom types in New Jersey dentist or Phoenix dentist or Chicago dentist? How do they land on your site? Because that's where it's all going. First of all, do you agree with that premise?
Yes,
it's all phone driven.
I think the more things change, the more they remain the same. I think that you're still going to see wives making the appointments for their husband. You're still going to see men who can't remember when their appointment is or when their conference is. So whether we're doing it in 1750 with quill and scroll, or we're doing it in 2014 with an iPhone, I think men don't remember to make appointments. But in that sense, I think that we're doing the same things. We're just changing the way we do them. Look, as for the yellow pages, what I really tell people is when they ask me, I say, what's the ROI? Because if I gave a lecture right now for Dentaltown and said, yellow pages is the way to go, you guys would laugh me out of there. And the answer is, remember, show me the money. It's show me the ROI. And so when anyone comes up to me and says, Dr. Wank, should I do Facebook? Should I do this? And I say, you tell me. You should know that data. You should know. And if you don't, go into your office and look it up. And if you don't know, get an estimate. I mean, there are plenty of people. I spoke to someone last week and they said, well, we spend $500 a month on AdWords. Is that good? I said, I have no idea. If you're getting a $10,000 case from the 500, yeah. If you're not making anything, then don't do it. So I think what our colleagues are missing out is they're not testing return on investment. And everybody's so quick to think that I have a website and they're going to find me that they kind of lose sight. And then, it's it's kind of like, look, you can take an X-ray of an endo, and at any angle, if you hit the right angle, your fill's going to look right. You're 12 millimeters short. You go like this, It's a perfect endo. Same thing with AdWords. They'll run an AdWords campaign, spend $500, no idea what the ROI is, but you go to sleep knowing that me and the other competitors are doing AdWords, so I'm okay, I can sleep well at night. But you just want, so we have to admit to ourselves, AdWords isn't right for everybody, but what's the ROI? And I joke, if you stand outside in a pirate outfit with colored in black teeth, and that brings in whitening to your office, then who am I to tell you otherwise? If that's what sells it for you. Someone said to me the other night, he said, I think it's word of mouth. Has there been a study? And I said, the study doesn't matter because your demographic in the middle of, a suburb of New York City with an extraction-looking population versus, a different type of practice with a younger population or an older population, you've got to look and see what your own ROI is. I mean, in practices that, there are practices you can do a class 5 amalgam, or a buccal pit amalgam on 19, and they're happy. There are practices where if you come after them with an amalgam, they're calling the FDA. So you know what your office is and you know your demographic, but you clearly have to test what kind of marketing. There are oral surgeons, in the New York area who still spend a ton of money on Yellow Pages. And you say that's crazy, but that's what their patients use who are over 65, who want the extractions. So you've got to test it. I just finished a book. It's called, You Should Test That. And that's the God's honest truth. You should test it. And I tell them, don't come to me and ask me. You should come to me and tell me. Say, how can we test? But you've got to be testing. I mean, that when you, even in your office. I mean, this is conversion optimization. I used to be a Tempon guy, when I was a resident. And then I became a Zone guy. And I found that Zone wasn't strong enough for what I was doing. I got a lot of temps out. Then I switched to Tempon NE and I was happy. And they just gave me Temp Grip. I'm a very happy man. So I'm conversion optimization in my head. If Temp Grip fell out of the patient's head and I didn't like it, I wouldn't use it. When the vendors come in, they give you 57 composites to try. Well, they want you to test it and see if you like it. And a lot of our colleagues don't seem to want to do that on their website. So when it comes to talking about getting yourself ranked, the truth is sometimes you can't. And people don't want to hear that. The first phase, I do it like a denture because I explain it in 4 phases. Because when I was, learning denture, you had someone tell me to border mold, and then someone else told me to cut it back 2 millimeters, and I had no idea what the end game was. And so what happens is, phase one is that you want to have this website built to Google standards. Phase 2, then you're going to do whatever you're going to do for marketing to drive that traffic to your website. Whether that's SEO, AdWords, sponsoring the school baseball team, you're driving traffic. Phase 3, then you're like recall. Then you're looking at your data, you're seeing what's happening, and then you want to test to see, if I had 100 patients in the chair this month and not one of them accepted a cosmetic case, you're not going to bring 100 more patients in and tell them the same thing. But in terms of having a website, what people don't understand is you've got to be up to Google's webmaster standards. And that's not a secret. There's no, taking out a tooth is not a secret. This is just a certain way that you've got to do it, and you build it to Google standards. Because if you don't build it to Google standards, as soon as your competitors do, you're going to be at the bottom. And that's, you have to come prepared to the game. There's no point doing SEO for a website that isn't built to the webmaster standards, which are free and publicly available. Not a secret. That's what has to get done first.
Is that really true? Because I've been told that it's very secretive. Otherwise, Yahoo and Bing would be trying to...
No. Well, the algorithm is a secret. But Google basically says, listen, if you want a web page to rank well, here's what we want you to do. We want you to have a page that's original content. Because Google's in the business of making money. But they're in the business of providing quality content. Because the minute I search for General Dentist Phoenix, and I get something that says, crowns are important because they help broken teeth. Well, let me see the next one. Crowns are important because they help broken teeth. You're going to say, Google stinks. It's not giving any variety. So as soon as people say, Google is not giving me quality results that make sense to me, then Google's done. So in an effort to probably make their bottom line, they've said, we want different search results. So that's why when you get a website and the content comes with it, that's great, except what happens is everyone else has that content. Google sees that and they give a penalty. They'll bump you down because it's not original. Plus, forget about that, and most of our colleagues don't want to do it. but you have to write your own content. The other reason is there's a disconnect. A lot of these websites will say, if a patient has an edentulous space, then the dentist can prepare the abutments for a fixed partial denture. Huh? You spend 10 minutes in the chair explaining what a bridge is. Go home on my website, Mr. Smith, and take a look and see. The website says denture, and now you have a disconnect because you haven't controlled the message. I don't do periosurgery. The periodontist does, and we don't call it periosurgery. We call it gum work. I control the message. And I think online we have to control the message, and we forget that custom content written by somebody else isn't your tone, and it's not controlling your message. But Google said, listen, we want custom content. We want it in logical order. We want headings, and we want title tags, which is pretty much what they said. And that's what you have to do to compete. I equate that to a soccer team. You bring your kids to soccer practice. There's 10 kids or 11 kids, whatever it is. Nobody has cleats and no one has a ball. Okay, so what can the coach do? Not much. The coach can play with one kid who's got Crocs on, going to hurt his toe doing corners, and that's okay. So what some dentists will do, and I've seen it with my clients, is where we revamp the website and all of a sudden they're through the roof. Why? Well, the reason is because nobody came to practice with a soccer ball and with cleats and shin guards. Then one parent goes to the car and brings a ball and shin guards. That's the only kid with equipment. That kid's a star. So for many offices, if you're in the middle of, somewhere very, very rural and there's 2 or 3 competitors and all of you have kind of basic, not really up to standards websites, then all of a sudden you build a website up to standards, you come with your equipment, you don't need SEO. You might say, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, it's not crazy, because if you're the only guy in town who's got a veneer page up to Google standards, in theory, you should rank. The problem comes in is when you are in somewhere like New York City, in Manhattan, where you come to practice, and not only are there 11 kids prepared, there's 40 other kids waiting for someone else to fall down. But in order to even, and I say this, in order for you to even participate, to compete with those 40 kids, you've got to have your soccer ball and your cleats. You've got to come prepared. So that's why whenever we build a website, I don't care where you rank now or what you're doing now. If you're not up to standards, we have to get you to standards first. An impression on number 8 is going to look like an impression on 17. I'm not going to say, we don't need a lingual margin. The lab still has to see something. Even though no one's going to see it but me and the lab, we have to close the margin. So before we do anything, you've got to have those in place.
So you've got over 1,000 posts on Dental Town. You've written a book on this. You have a course, Dental Web Development. What do you need to know now? What do you think the average, my view of the market is the average dentist probably has a website that 5 years ago they were at a convention, paid someone some money, they built a website, and they haven't even looked at it in 5 years. I mean, what would you say is the average, for the 150,000 dentists in America, what do you think their average internet website presence is? Like, what percent would have a website, what percent hadn't, and how many of them would need you? And what would the typical dentist be like coming to you, and what would you actually do for them?
Well, the answer is, I don't know, because a lot of it's demographic based. One of the cool things about the web is that we have analytics. Google Analytics, as you know, which gives us data we've never seen before. So you can actually know what devices people are coming from, what regions they're coming from, and I think it's really all market based. I think a lot of older dentists, who let's say are 60 or older. What I've seen in my limited experience is that they, with that group, is that they're selling their practice in 10 years. And they know that if they don't have a website, it's going to be a bigger negative hit on the value of the practice than the upside of having the website when they sell it. Plus, I have a lot of dentists who actually don't have websites now and are saying, finally, things are dropping down a little bit and everyone else has it, so I have to get in the game. Maybe that's what's going to happen with CEREC, in 20 years. Maybe no one's going to be taking impressions anymore.
David, do you see a big difference in the percent of dentists that have a website in the half of America that lives in the big urban cities versus the half of America that lives in the rural countryside?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I see a mixed bag. Most of the dentists that come to me are redesigns.
Okay.
And they're not just we're changing out veneers. It's not that they have, 5 old veneers and we're going to change them for 7. It's we've got veneers that are rotting underneath. And that's kind of the problem. It's that, because look, people didn't pay attention to what it had to be structurally a long time ago. I see sites that are, and again, you have to differentiate between like a template, like a theme, and the actual content, because every patient with shade A2 is a templated crown, in theory. The preparation underneath is what's custom. So all of your A2 veneers that go out, every veneer prep is that much different. So I'm not concerned if your website in Phoenix looks like mine in New Jersey. That doesn't matter. But when you say template, you can't have that same exact content that I have, even that far away, because again, it doesn't engage the patients, and also, and you will get penalized. But a lot of what I'm getting is redesigns, and that's why for me, what I want to do is say, let's get you these basics. Let's get you the tools you need for the foundation you need. So if right now you're in a rural area and you show up to that game, you're the only kid who can participate, terrific. We'll build your website, you have a great day, and you'll do well. When other kids start to show up, you'll at least be in the position where you can now move ahead. Because I don't want to start them scrambling to do things and we're 2 years behind. And one of the mistakes that dentists make is that we don't get that. Well, first of all, I'm in Short Hills. It's 07078. I practice in Manhattan. But right next door is Millburn, 07039. So a dentist in Short Hills can throw a baseball to Millburn. And Google doesn't really get that yet. That I'm in 07078, that's where my office is, let's say. But I draw patients from 07039. And Google says, wait a minute, the people who are in 07039, they should get preference. So it's very hard for me, let's say, in Short Hills, to rank for dentist Millburn. Because Google's saying, what business do you have ranking for dentist Millburn when you're in Short Hills? And you say, hey, but it's right next door. My kid's school is actually in Millburn, so that's an issue, and you can't force it. So what a dentist will say is, I want to be a dentist in, Dr. Wank is a dentist in, Millburn, sees patients in Millburn, Short Hills, Maplewood, South Orange. And because I said that, I should rank for South Orange. Not really. Because you've got dentists in South Orange who are legitimately in South Orange who will rank better than you will. Just because you said South Orange doesn't make you a dentist in South Orange. And so that's where this whole algorithm comes in. Because otherwise you could say, I'm an electrician and I really like my dentist in South Orange. And so if you typed in dentist South Orange and Google gave you the electrician's website that said, we do great electrical work, and on the bottom it said, David Wank is my favorite dentist in South Orange, you'd never use Google again. So just because you write dentist South Orange on a web page doesn't mean that's what it's about.
David, what do you think of some dentists who say you should have several different websites? One, positioning yourself as a cosmetic dentistry, one for children, and make what do you think about multiple website strategies?
I think in general the answer is no. Because what you have is, when it comes to SEO and doing that, there's about 300 factors or more that go into ranking a web page. We don't rank websites, we rank web pages. So internally, what Google looks at internally, it's the Dewey Decimal System. It's a big database. Someone does a search for veneer dentist Short Hills. So Google opens up the folder and says, all right, what do I have here for veneer dentist Short Hills? I've got these 10 pages that match. Okay, well, this guy has 17 other things on that page, forget it. This one is in Flash, forget it. All right, now I'm down to 8 websites that talk about that. Okay, well, this one talks about it on the very bottom. My friend's a veneer dentist. Get rid of that. All right, now we're down to 5 pages that are definitely just about Dr. Wank is a veneer dentist in Short Hills that are up to these Google standards, on-site SEO. Now, how do they tell the 5 apart? Well, then you start looking at, the external SEO. Who links to you is a huge thing. And that's where all these link farms came in. Because then what I would do is I would say, oh, the more links I have, the cooler I am. It's a popularity contest. If the captain of the football team says that guy's cool, then he's cool. Then if that guy says that guy's cool, then he's cool by extension. But there reaches a point where if the captain of the football team says that 300 people are cool, it dissolves that kind of coolness. So I have a client, I'll make up the state, in Kansas, and he's a new office, and they had a thing on the radio or on the local TV station. And they did a thing on him and linked to his website. That is a beautiful link because the radio station has, they call it link juice but the radio station has that coolness. So getting a link from, your electrician or your lawyer is great.
And what do you mean by that? That their website puts your website link on their actual website?
A link to you. So again, let's assume for argument's sake, you've got 5 pages in Short Hills about veneers that are up to Google standards. How do we tell those apart? Well, one of the big factors is who links to you. So if one of those sites has a link from has no links, they're out. The next link is from the attorney and electrician, they're out. The next one's from the ADA, the Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, the AGD. All right, that's pretty good. The other one might have a link maybe from, the local news station. But Google has no way of knowing if these 5 pages are all about veneers, who's the coolest? How do I tell them apart? And part of that signal of a link is if someone's going to bother to link to this website, it must be good.
But how was someone linked to my website? Like, I'm todaysdental.com. I mean, a dentist would have to put my www.todaysdental.com on their dental website?
Yes, but as a dentist, I wouldn't link to you because why would I do that? So
right.
The problem is, as a web developer,
but who would put my Today's Dental link on their website? Who would do that?
So when you get into it's called link building. When you get into that, see, as a web developer, I can go on, mystinkingtoothhurts.net and write, or go up to, whatever web design thing and say, hey, this is a great idea. Check it out on Short Hills Design and get a link or whatever it is. But you can't, as a dentist, go on owthathurts.com and write, sounds to me like it's a root canal. For legal and ethical reasons, we can't do that. So it's very hard to get legitimate links as dentists. And obviously, I don't want to say, Dr. Wank is a very talented veneer dentist, but check out what Howard Farran wrote about veneers because he really does a good job explaining it. Well, if I can't explain a veneer, then why are you going to trust me to do it on you? Which is why don't link out to the ADA for content. 5 years ago, that's fine. But I want to hear my dentist tell me a veneer is when we do blah, 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 blah. Don't ship me off to the ADA, where there are other dentists listed, by the way. Don't ship me out to Invisalign. Don't ship me out to PowerProx because any of these companies will give you marketing materials. So don't tell your patients, well, if you need to use the bathroom, go across the street. You got to be nuts. Once they're there, keep them there. So for dentists, the links that you can get are the links that are free, so to speak. A link from the ADA, you have your profile, the AGD, the Better Business Bureau. There are ways you can look. Moz has something called the Open Site Explorer. It's free for a few searches. There's a premium too, but you can type in your website and find out who links to you. And as your competitor, I can look too and say, ooh, Farran's got the Better Business Bureau. That's just $200 a year for me, or the Chamber of Commerce, whatever it is. But the point is, that's a bit of competition. If you volunteer at the dental school and they have a bio page for you, link to it. If, I have a client who volunteers at the church and they did some nice things for the church. And the church put a link that said, Dr. Jones and his wife.
What percent of the searches would you say are done on Google for all practical purposes for dentists in America?
I don't know for dentists specifically. I think the number, I want to say Google might take 60 or 70% of the search market. I'm not sure. It's up there.
So does it help your search? I mean, does it help people find you on a search? So, like, I'm in Phoenix, so they're searching a dentist in Phoenix. Does it help if I had used a Gmail instead of a AOL.com or have a Google Plus page? Or
yes. Well, okay. In terms of email is irrelevant.
I mean, using other Google products like YouTube, Google Plus, Gmail.
Yes and no. As far as I've read, Google has not come out and said, if you have Google Plus, then we will rank you higher. Same thing with the authorship tag, where you write an article and they have your picture. They got rid of that. They depreciated that. But what happened is, the answer is I don't know. And so since we say that, listen, it can't hurt. If Google suggests to have a Google Plus page, someone asked me the other day, about the Maps listings. You could do a search for Dentist Phoenix, Invisalign Dentist Phoenix. You might come up second for map listings. Then you do, Veneer Dentist Phoenix, and you're on page 71 for maps. So I had a chat with a Google rep once about Google Places because we were having problems with clients because combining the places. And I asked him on the side, he said, you know what? It's part of the algorithm and we don't really know. And Google, as far as I know, and we've discussed it on Dentaltown, at least with regular web pages, they've said, listen, do this, do this, do this, do this. That's kind of the framework. So we have an idea. With local, they haven't said that. We thought that for a while it was, first of all, fill out your Google Plus profile, your, Google Maps. They changed the name. Maps, Places, Google My Business. Fill it out 100%. 95% is not 100%. If you don't have a picture, take one to the office and put it up there. Fill that out 100%. Then what you're going to do, make sure you claim that Google Plus page and link it to your office with the publisher tag. It's pretty straightforward for someone who knows what they're doing. And then you have to look at the publisher tag, the Google Plus page, fill out the profile, and that's pretty much what you can do now. But as long as you've kind of done what they've said, then, again, they won't promise that that's going to rank you higher, but we think that helps. Same thing with reviews. Anecdotally, if you are doing a Google search, you're rarely going to see, I don't remember the last time I saw a bunch of 1-star reviews for any product or service in that Maps listing. So is there somewhere in that Maps algorithm that's going to make the people with the most 5 stars go higher? It's possible. And it also, those Maps listings often come above the organic listings, which I find to be kind of unfair. If you've done the research, you've spent the time, you've got a dedicated page about veneers, and it's a great page, you're the only one in town, and now you got 5 other people ranking ahead of you on Maps. I don't think that's fair. But that's how the cookie crumbles. But we've talked about it on Dental Town, and not a lot of people, no one really knows what the kind of the Google Maps magic is. But at least organic search is they've given us guidelines.
So your website is www.shorthillsdesign.com.
Yes, sir.
Tell dentists what you offer for them. If a dentist calls you, what do you usually do for them? You said that most of your business is reworking an older website.
Well, some of them are new, but a large percentage is. And I think what it comes down to is, I have a 2-pronged philosophy when it comes to building websites for somebody. Number 1, I want them to own everything. And number 2, I don't want them to have to call me every time I take an x-ray. To be perfectly honest. I want, I joke, I say, I've got a dental degree from Harvard. If you want to bring me to your office to mount your x-rays and polish your models, I'd be happy to do it. I'll make beautiful ortho corners and shine them. But it's a waste of money to pay me for that. I want to use WordPress. So WordPress is a content management system.
Who owns WordPress?
What'd you say?
Who owns WordPress?
Nobody. Well, it's an open source product.
Okay.
Because, years and years ago.
And that's for your blogs and content?
It's for the web. It's the entire website. So basically, years ago, you would hire me, and then you'd say to your web developer, "We just brought David Wank on as our new associate dentist. Here's his picture." You email it to your web guys. They use Dreamweaver. They code it up, upload it, and you're done. Then one day, someone said, "What if we made it so you can kind of cut the web guy out in that regard? Let the web guy build it, and you could do it on your own." It's almost kind of what Seric is in that sense. So you still need someone to set it up and teach you and build it, but you could do it on your own. So WordPress comes in where if you want to hire me as an associate dentist, your staff can now go add page, type in, copy and paste my bio from Word, add media, drag my picture in, publish, Dr. Wank's now an associate. Then you fire me Tuesday morning, no problem, edit, delete, and we're done. So there's nothing that WordPress can do. There's nothing I can do with WordPress that I can't do by code. Same thing with Endo. Assume for a minute that Rotary gives the exact same results, as Endo by hand. I can do a lateral a hell of a lot faster with Rotary than I can by hand. Is one better than the other? No, it's the same. But why reinvent the wheel? If you can make it so that someone, if you can use Gmail, can update a web page, why not? Why should you pay me to do that? I'm happy to take your money. I'd much rather you do that. And in terms of owning things, you as the dentist have to own everything. And this you see on Dental Town all the time. You've got to own your name. DavidWank.com, whatever it is. Because if I'm DavidWank.com, and let's say Farran Media owns it, and then you go out of business, I can't get in touch with you. I call up GoDaddy and say, hey, I'm David Wank of DavidWank.com. Can I have my name? And they're going to say, Howard owns this. But I'm David Wank, and they're going to say, we don't care if you're Winston Churchill. Howard owns it, so it's Howard's. So own your own name. Same thing with the theme. A theme for your website is like PowerPoint. They gave a lecture 12 years ago on the root shade of molars. That hasn't changed. But PowerPoint 2000, whatever comes out, nice new presentation, same old slides. But I want you to own that theme. The themes are $50 or $60. But when someone comes to you and says, hey, where'd you get that theme? Said, oh, I bought it here and here's the license. Same thing with stock photography. All the time on Dental Town. Letters from Getty Images wanting $3,000, $5,000 because the web guy used an image that he or she wasn't allowed to use. You're the dentist. It's your responsibility. I had no idea. So for my clients, they own their license for the stock photography. We go through it together, but you own that. Same thing with backups. I joke when I lecture, I could go home tonight and have no clients left. And that's true because my clients own their names. They're in control of their hosting, control of their backups. And, I want them to stay with me because we provide you a value and a service. Just like a dental patient. I mean, I'm certainly not going to make a denture out of proprietary acrylic that only I can adjust. Could you imagine? There are some denture patients it just doesn't work out with, or any kind of patient, and that's okay. But, I don't believe in saying, here's a proprietary system that we're going to lock you into. It's just, it's my philosophy. So with WordPress, we can build you a website that you can manage yourself. If you want to pay us to hold your hand and polish your models, we'll do it. And if you don't, you can have, your 12-year-old nephew do it for you, in Indiana, whatever you like. And that's the beauty of it. And then, you're on your own as much as you want to be or as little as you want to be. If you need SEO, we can bring in SEO as a service or whatever else you want to do. But the beauty of it is anybody can service your WordPress car. You're not going to take your test, my Ford, I can take my Ford to my guy. I bring it to the dealership for recalls. But for body work or whatever, it goes to my guy. You're not bringing the Tesla to your guy. You're bringing it to the dealer. And so WordPress gives you the ability to bring it to the guy or anyone you want, or back to the dealer, and it gives you that flexibility. And you can work with anybody. And again, you own the backup. So if I disappear and move to Belize, you say it was great working with David, but he's gone. Well, that stinks, but you know what? We've got our stuff. In fact, I force my clients to buy the backup plugin. It's like $70 a year. I used to make it optional. As dentists, we don't do anything that's optional because we're cheap. So I just require it now. But the point is, they own the license. I don't.
So, David, how often do you recommend a dentist update their website by adding a blog? Do you recommend that they use their iPhone for like a little video interview for a minute and upload that on their website, or photos? What helps SEO? The difference between a blog, a photo of you and a patient,
sure.
Or a video of saying, "Hey, David, give me a tip for Halloween candy."
Sure. I think that I think people think about it like that. What can I do for Halloween to get rankings? I don't think that's such a great idea. What can I do for Halloween? That's awesome, and that's the approach it needs to be. If you're doing it because you just have to go through the motions, it's not worth doing. It's not going to come out well. That's why you've got companies posting for you on social media. I mean, honestly, I love my dentist. I don't want to hear from him. I don't care. I don't care that my primary physician, next time you lecture, ask a bunch of dentists, how many people know anyone who likes any of their personal physician's pages? Hands go down. Then at the end they say, Howard, how come no one likes my Facebook page? I mean, you're going to like, your internist, your proctologist, your whatever? No. Because you want to get in there. No, it's true. And I say, you want to get in there and go. So what people don't get is that people hate the dentist. Yes, I'm nice and I get painless injections too. And I'm fabulous and they love me. No, they don't. They want to come in. They're happy that I'm nice and I don't hurt them too much. They give that kind of thank you smile and they leave. And hopefully we treated them well and we provided them quality care. They don't want to come back. Heck, I'm a dentist and I don't want to go back. So we have to get that reality in our heads. If you're a dermatologist and you're giving away, Botox, whatever you're doing, definitely. But for us, people are bombarded. So if you're going to say something that's valuable. So maybe even, 4 to 6 times, once every 2 months, I'd say write a blog post. Most dentists won't even do that. But write a blog post about something that's interesting. If you're going to do a Halloween buyback program, or if you're going to do, in April, the summer's coming up, here are the different types of whitening. The other thing that's very cool to do, because what Google does now is they look at kind of social indicators. So if there's some, power couple getting divorced, you type in, power couple divorce, whoever it happens to be, if that's popular, those searches will rank higher. That's a good time to write a blog post about getting divorced, time to have whitening. Take advantage of what's going on in the media.
So we should be looking at what topics are trending on Google and Twitter and
if
blog.
You want to get that involved, though. I mean, the truth is, it's a lot to get involved. You've got, if you're a sole practitioner, with a small staff, you want to go home to your family after a long day, not start browsing the web to see what you can put on, on Twitter or whatever it is.
What about economic incentives? What about a website coupons, discounts, $50 off this, $100 off that.
It's that's a marketing question. You say to yourself, well, when I ran the ad in the local paper 10 years ago and I gave the coupon, did it work? That's a demographic issue. Is the coupon going to make me look cheap? Is it going to make me look desperate? Or is it going to provide some kind of value? So, a lot of the questions that we have for digital marketing are the same answers from print marketing. Is what's the impression we're going to give? I once had a client say something very smart. He said, don't make the website look too expensive. I said, what? He said, because it's a blue-collar town, blue-collar guy. Make it look nice and neat, but don't look too fancy and expensive. I said, okay. So the same thing. That's what goes into play with that.
What other things? If we assume that moms make 90% of all the appointments,
right?
And now we have two male dentists talking. That always scares me when two male dentists are talking about dentistry. When I see 90% of the appointments made by moms, what do you think mom's looking for on a website besides location and hours and all that? Well, what do you have any data on what she goes over and clicks here versus there? Or
you know what? I haven't looked at at the gender specific data on that, but I think it's what anyone looks at. It's a question of trust. And I say to people, how many patients have ever asked you how many crowns you've done? None. One. In 30 years or whatever it is. Why is that? Well, it's easy. It's because by the time they're in the chair and they're willing to let you put a needle in their mouth, they trust you. Something happened between them leaving their house, opening up in their chair, completely vulnerable, opening their mouth, letting you stick a needle in their head that made them decide that you're trustworthy. So what did you do? Certainly, you can't put up your bite wings on your website or in the waiting room and say, look how beautiful my crowns are. So what do you do? And so it's the same traditional things. Your staff is friendly. You have a fish tank without dead fish in it. That's clean. These are people have, you ever go to a restaurant and you have that fish tank that's cloudy and you're like, Well, it's the same thing. I can't see them cook in the back. So I have to use whatever kind of social signals I have around me to make a judgment whether my food's going to be poisoned or not. Same thing with the dentist. So on a dental website, what you want to see is what are the social signals. Personally, I'm not on Facebook a lot. I'm not on any of these social sites because my friends know me and I'm happy that way. The world doesn't need to know that I, have a cold yesterday. But what you do is people judge you by that, unfortunately, like it or not, that this is what it is. And if you don't have a Facebook page, you must be a crappy dentist. Now, that's the most preposterous thing in the whole world. But when people look at your website and they're trying to gauge if they're going to trust you to put the needle in their head, they're going to look and see. If you have a Facebook page, you must be modern, know what you're doing. So by extension, you must be safe, which is crazy. But it is, that's the role that people go. They come in your office. It's nice. There's no blood on the ceiling. It looks nice. It looks neat. The staff is friendly. They don't yell at them. You take their insurance, and all of that put together equals trust.
So what do you think is more powerful, your Facebook page or your website page?
I think the website page. Well, the website page has got to be your hub, and it's demographic. A lot of pedo offices do a ton on Facebook because that's how they engage. But the website is the hub, and everything else is an adjunct. And so what I use, which I think is great, is something called Hootsuite. Hootsuite.com. I think it's about $10 a month. Do you use it?
I don't.
Okay.
But I see a lot of people on Dental Town.
The idea behind it is for Short Hills Design. When I write a blog post, it goes on shorthillsdesign.com. This is what I tell my clients to do. Then we have to post it on Facebook, Twitter. I call this write once, use everywhere. My lawyer said I can't copyright that, and I've written on Dental Town 100 times. Write once, post everywhere. So you write this one article about here's a great example. What are the black lines? Here's a blog post for everybody. Are the black lines around my crowns decay? Because people aren't always searching for, I need a new crown. They're searching for the problem. So are black lines around my crowns decay? And you write an article. Dr. Wank blog post. Dr. Wank sees a lot of patients who ask him, from the other dentist, why are there black lines around my crowns? And you say, oh, don't worry. That's just the metal seeping into your body. You're fine. And then you say, no, well, sometimes it's decay. Sometimes it's the blah, blah, blah from the metal and the black, and we can make you porcelain crowns. So the beauty of that is you write that blog post. And now, number one, I'm not thinking about keywords there. I'm not going to say, let me look and see what the keywords are, because you'd be there all day. But you're a dentist. What do I think logically people ask me? A lot of people ask me about the black lines around their crowns. Is it decay? Is it recession? That makes a lot of sense about what it is. Don't go nuts. Use your brain. You know, everything that we do, when we decide if a tooth is restorable, that's far more complex a decision than anything that we do on the web. You know, we just do it quickly because we know how to do it. That's a much more complicated question. So I don't know where that's going to get picked up. Are my Facebook fans going to like that? Are my Twitter people going to look at it? You know, the dentists who find me, let's say, on Google Plus, are not going to come and read my website too, and vice versa. So let me do this. I don't know who I'm going to get from where, or which article is going to get from where. You know, my article about should a dentist friend a patient on Facebook might get a lot of play on Facebook and nothing on Twitter. My article about Google Plus will get the reverse. So when I write an article for Short Hills Design, it goes on David Wank's Facebook page, Short Hills Design's Facebook page, David Wank's Google Plus page, Short Hills Design's Google Plus page, our Twitter feed. It goes on my study club's Facebook thing with permission. And it goes to a couple of other places automatically. You know, my staff does it for me. I mean, all you do is you type in the thing, you say, go here, 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 and here, and it sends it. So I don't really care whether it's Facebook or whatever it is. Everybody gets it. Because I don't know, maybe that the article about these all ceramic crowns, maybe some person who follows you on Twitter might pick that up. Who knows? So there's no way to really know that. Then, of course, looking at your data over time, if you happen to see, well, it looks like the people that are coming from Facebook spend a hell of a lot more time than the people coming from Twitter, you know, and buy a lot more services from us, then maybe we want to focus more on Facebook.
So if a dentist had a website and they had Facebook, what would be the next social media site? If they were to say, I'm gonna go to another one, what would be your next choice?
We tell our clients to, by default, have Facebook, Google Plus, for what you said before. You know, there's been stuff on Dental Town also, whether Google Plus is or isn't, but you know what? It's Google, so don't upset them. You're not going to get a penalty for not having it. We misinterpreted, but have it because it's there and it's free. Facebook, Google Plus, and Twitter. And again, when you're using Hootsuite, you're cross-posting to all three of those. So there's no,
do you think those are different audiences or different?
Absolutely.
They are. And can you define briefly what a different audience? I mean, your general average Facebook person is versus a Twitter folk or a Google Plus.
You know what? It's very, very hard to make that. I think that I would guess that from experience that Facebook is much more streamlined with more normal people. I don't think as many people outside of businesses know a lot about Google Plus. I think Google Plus is business heavy because Google has said, you know, when they decided to do Google Maps and said, you know, we need to take over the yellow pages too, we're making Google Maps. So we're going to set up this page for you, you know, Acme Window Company, and you all you have to do is come and claim it, and then we can make you popular by showing that. You have to be nuts not to sign up. So by capturing this business, Google Plus is very business heavy. And there are people who think that it's going to be the next thing, and those people are involved too. But I would think that most people, at least when I lecture, most people don't know about it like they know Facebook. I don't think people want to engage into social networks. You know, how many people have 4 cars? There's only so much time you can spend. So Twitter also, I think Twitter, you know, has really shifted to quick kind of news briefs. But obviously Twitter is short and links to things, but it would take way too much time to guess your demographic, which is why for me, I haven't looked at my Twitter page for Short Hills Design probably since I started it. But it doesn't matter because they're getting the same content that everybody else is getting. And I'm hoping that by spreading ourselves wide, not thin enough, but wide enough as a big enough net, that we'll catch some people that want to see what we have to say in the format they want it. And so, but, you know, that's kind of the next step. And to answer what you said before, you know, adding a picture or a blog or a video just for SEO purposes kind of really doesn't matter in the sense that, you know, if you have a really cool video about Atrodox that you know nobody is searching for, are you all of a sudden now not going to post it because it's not SEO for your site? If you rank well for mini implants, well, you know what? I had this really cool, you know, Christmas jingle about mini implants, but you know what? We already rank well for mini implants, so I'm not going to bother. I think that's short-circuiting your marketing. If you got a great idea about something or a mini implant jingle, whether you do $1 million a year on that or $2 a year, post it. You know, but once you start thinking, I'm not going to do this because it might not rank, then you're wasting time. For us, and we do SEO, we're not kind of SEOing the whole thing. We're SEOing specific subjects that the dentist wants to focus on. You could rank well for mini implants, but if you're only doing, one mini implant case a year, who cares? If you said to me, David, we're doing Invisalign and implants, and whatever, and crowns in a day. So yeah, if that's what your SEO focus is, then sure. If you're going to do some fun stuff in the office, then make a CEREC jingle. But just don't make random things up for the office, hoping that's going to make you rank.
What do you think are the low hanging fruit people are searching for? Because I often wonder. I don't think people are searching for same day crowns. I mean, I don't think that's the. I mean, I have a CEREC, I can do that, but
right.
I can't think of anyone that said I came to your office because you do crowns in about an hour. What do you think the low hanging fruit is? What they're searching for?
I think you can't know that. So I think what you have to do is you have to spread it around. Dentist in Phoenix is a different keyword than Phoenix dentist. Now you and I would say that it doesn't make any sense. It's the same thing, but it's not the same thing. So you might find, that Invisalign dentist Phoenix, best dentist Phoenix, best Invisalign dentist Phoenix, or Phoenix Invisalign dentistry are 3 different search terms. And I just want to know which one people are using. Now, if you find a 50-to-1 ratio, then I want to focus on the one that people are using. And the answer is, I have no idea. And Google used to tell you that. It at least used to tell you in analytics what people were looking for to get to your site. They'll only tell you that now with AdWords, which is annoying. So what I tell my clients is...
So let's talk about that. So you're talking about doing all these things right to get organically searched up top. But if you can't get it organically, you can always pay for it with Google AdWords. Talk about that.
Yes and no. It's only recently that I've kind of changed my tune on AdWords a little bit. A lot of people want to get rich quick with AdWords, and AdWords is like roulette because you'll spend $500, then you'll spend $500 more, and then more, hoping for something different. What people aren't tying in, they're not tying in data with AdWords. So let's take, for example, the concept of the bounce rate. So let's say you have a tooth whitening Phoenix page that you get 100 visits a month to, and your bounce rate's 90%. That means 9 out of 10 people get to that page and leave. They open the door and they leave. So a lot of dentists aren't looking at that. They're saying, well, I spent $500. We get 10 visits to the whitening page. I'm going to sit and wait for whitening. If you look at the data, you're going to see it's a 90% bounce rate. You paid for 10 people to come, 9 of them left. So before you pay another 10 people to come, let's figure out what they didn't like about it. It's the restaurant with the soup. If 50 people came to try the soup and nobody made it to the steak, to the next course, don't pay 50 people off the street to try the soup. They're going to hate it. So let's stop that AdWords campaign, because most of our colleagues will say, double the spend. Then you're going to get 18 out of 20 leaving. Let's look at that page. That's conversion optimization. Step 3, we're getting traffic. Let's look at that page and see why people hate it. We get that bounce rate down to 40%, 6 out of 10 people stay. Okay, now we'll drive more traffic there. And that's a huge mistake made with AdWords, because you can keep pumping money in, and it's like the lotto. If I buy one more, I'll get that patient. Lotto's hit or miss. The goal with AdWords is to say, listen, if I can find a handful of ads that do well, that convert well, that get to a web page on my site, because an implant ad should have an implant page. A CEREC ad should have a CEREC page if you're doing that. Veneer page to veneer page, veneer ad to veneer page. If you have an ad that has a high click-through rate and a web page that converts well, that's going to be a money machine. That's what you're looking for. You're looking, what's the combination here and here that bring the patients in? And a lot of people aren't thinking that. They'll do AdWords and drive you to the homepage. The example I give is, I give Godiva as a gift a lot of the time, and they're always in my inbox. And it's great. They're in the back of my head. And, they did the thing the other day. Hey, David, check out our super fattening chocolate special. Fine. You click the thing, and it doesn't take you to the homepage. It takes you to the super fattening chocolate special page. Because why would they say, they've got my interest about the fattening chocolate, and now you're going to send me to the homepage and I have to look around? No. If I know you're interested in veneers, send me to the veneer page. Don't send me to the homepage. They make me look for veneers. If I've told you, I volunteer, hey, I like super chocolate thing, send me the super chocolate thing. So AdWords is like anything else. The website's the middle, then there's Facebook, there's AdWords, there's being a pirate outside, there's sponsoring the Little League team, there's going to the kids' school. anything you can do to drive traffic to your website, and that's that phase two. So with AdWords, you really have to do it with someone who knows what they're doing. Not because dentists are stupid. People say dentists are too dumb. We're very smart. We're very smart people. The problem is it just takes time. Dentists don't do AdWords for the same reason that AdWords people don't do root canals. They could. Go to school for 4 years and go to endo. You can do plenty of root canals. So, I just don't like dabbling with it because it's just complicated. And if you don't have the time to dedicate to it, I don't do it. I have someone that works with me who does it because he's more skilled at that than I am. I mean, I haven't done a root canal in 10 years. I work with about 2 endodontists, and they're wonderful. If you put a gun to my head and you're in pain, I could do it for you in about 10 hours. But I'd finish it for you. So sure, I could do it, but it's not what I do well. So, let someone who does it do it well.
So how does this dentist start a relationship with you? Does he email you the name of his website? You take a look at him? Do they call you? How does it usually work?
Well, there's a contact form on the website, and they can contact us that way. They can give us a call. But I provide a unique approach, again, because I'm a colleague and a vendor, so I can talk in dentist. I am not looking, my business model, it's a high-end office. We're not built around getting every person in the whole world a website. We're built around a certain person, and I say, you've got to drink my Kool-Aid. Same thing in the dental office. If you want to become a patient of mine, dental patient, I do it a certain way. I take my time. This is my fee, and you're going to have to drink my Kool-Aid. If you don't like my Kool-Aid, there's a million other people who will do it for you. But I do it a certain way because this is how I think it should work. I think that we should have a WordPress-based website for these reasons, and this and this and this. And if that's not what you want, that's fine. But that's kind of, that's my approach. It's not for everybody, and that's okay. I respect that. But, you've got to buy into the philosophy that this is the way to do it. Otherwise, I think it's going to fail. A dentist wanted me to do a 12-page site for her. I said, you're going to fail. If you don't have a dedicated page for each service, you will fail. Because if I have a page that says, Dr. Wank does veneers, root canals, crowns, and dentures, and you have a page just about dentures, and someone does a search for dentures, what's the more relevant page? The page where dentures is one of 7 things, or just yours where it's about dentures?
Tell everybody about your new course on Dental Town.
Oh, it's a great course, if I say so myself. It's about an hour and a half long, and we go through the process. We talk about the web design overview, where things fit in space. Again, kind of like denture. Why am I border molding? What does it have to do with the final product? We're actually going to figure that out. Then we talk about platforms you can use to build it. Because before you build it, you have to understand the infrastructure.
And this is the WordPress.
Yeah. What's good about WordPress? Whether you buy proprietary or not proprietary, what should you know? I used to say if you like your website, you can keep it. I can't say that anymore. But, at least you have your eyes open. This is not a course how to build your website. Go to a million other things for that. This is, you're buying a diamond. You have to know the color and the clarity and this and that. You don't have to know what kind of axe they use to get it out of the mine or what box they ship it in. If you want to know that, God bless you. But you don't need to know that. So you need to know if you're going to get proprietary and non-proprietary, what am I getting into? And how to really talk to the vendors. I don't want the vendor coming to you at a show, and I'm a vendor, coming to you at the show and saying, you, sir, need a website because you're wearing green. Well, okay. And then you can say back to them, okay, I need SEO. How many other clients do you have in 07078? And they say, I got to talk to the manager. You should be able to have an understanding to ask when they try and sell you CEREC or any kind of thing like that, you say, I want to see a crown. I want to test the margins because that you can evaluate the margins. You can have with the vendor. If the margins are wide open on the demo, they can't sell you a system. So that's the idea. So we talk about current design trends and what things are going and why. And then we go into the details of just things you should know before you buy. It doesn't teach you how to do it because, again, that's not why you're spending your time. But you want to know when they say to you, Howard, we'll own the name for you. Don't worry about it. We'll hold on to that. And you say, no, red flag. I don't remember where, but somewhere they told me not to do that.
And David, how much does something like this cost for you to help them?
What we usually do is start to finish. A website's about $4,400. We do give a 10% Dental Town discount because anybody who comes through, no, look, you know what? We get a lot of business from Dental Town. Dental Town has been kind to me, helped me grow my career, and I, give back to the townies who are on there. Also because I don't just post in the web section. Some crazy denture things happen to me, and I definitely post and ask my colleagues for help too on that. So it's just a way of me saying thank you too. And sometimes discounts are the best way. But sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But
you said 4,400 to
minus 10%,
and that's
then there's about 200 more in extra fees, and that's just for you to own things. There's no markup on that. That's you own your name if you don't have it already.
Now, do you host it for them?
Yes and no. If you want to host with me, we host for $75 a month, which is a lot, but that's because we'll go in once a month and check it out for you. If you want to host with HostGator or any other hosting company or your brother for $3 a month or $0 a month, we have no problem with that either.
Now, is GoDaddy a big hosting? Is that the big bonanza?
Yes and no. I mean, there are a lot of small.
The reason I asked about GoDaddy is I'm in Phoenix and it's in my backyard. I mean, I bet I got 100 patients that work there. Seriously, it's huge out here.
And first of all, their customer service is terrific. I've always liked their customer service, and I purchased domains from them for about 1 million years. I happen to not like their hosting from a technical level. I don't like how they implement WordPress. So all of my domains are registered at GoDaddy, but I don't host anything there, and I do try and move my clients. The other company I like to use is HostGator. Again, any company, these are all shared hosting companies, which means you've got a web server and they're sharing it's like an ortho office. You got a lot of people in there at once. And for most dental websites, you can share the space on the server. You can carpool, so to speak. If you're Amazon.com, you need your own car. But if you're a dental website that isn't doing that kind of million transactions a second, you can do that. Some of these shared hosts are stinky. They go through phases, but HostGator is pretty reliable. What I like about them for my clients, I don't host email, for example, because if your website goes down, I have people who can take care of that. But if your email goes down and I'm prepping a crown and I'm not available, that's not fair to you. And I'm not going to sell you a service that I can't support. So anyone who hosts with me uses Google Apps or Microsoft, which is awesome. I love Google Apps. But HostGator, they're $2 to $3 a month. Their hosting is very good. When you first sign up, they will give you a hard sell, but then you ignore that, and then past that, they're pretty darn reliable. They have 24/7 support. I do have an affiliate relationship with them. I make a couple of bucks when someone signs up, but I tell people you can go around my affiliate link. Honestly, at this level of the game, it's not about the money. I used to work for a guy who charged for Vitrabond. I'm like, come on. I did an extraction for $300, and then he charged a sterilization fee for the follow-up. I'm like, you know what? So as far as I'm concerned, you're paying us that much money for a website. If you want to host with your brother, that's fine. If you have a better deal on hosting, and we'll do it for you. But if you want to do it yourself, why should I take the tools out of your hands? If you want to go in the back and wax up your own RPDs, I'm sure your lab won't mind. Do it, and that's my approach. Whatever you want to pay us to do for you, we're happy to do for you. Whatever you want to do on your own, do it on your own and leave me alone. I mean, again, in the nicest way possible.
Now, explain to people, our viewers who might not be townies, how do they find? You have 1,000 posts on Dental Town. How do they find your post on Dental Town?
I think you just jump online and you'll find some.
But I mean, what is your forum?
My handle is Short Hills. Usually, I'm living in the marketing forum.
The marketing forum.
The marketing forum. There's web design. There's marketing, and I want to say there's dental websites, and there's a social media forum there too. And then there's a third one that escapes me now. But
and are you in all those, or
I'm in all of them?
In all those.
Yep. And a lot of it's there's so much on there that all of us, there's a bunch of us on there, a bunch of core people there who are really, really, really good people. I've become friends with them over the years. And some of us are competitors, but it's nice because, I have a different philosophy than some of the other vendors there. And it's nice that we can share our philosophies, give the people what they want and let the people decide. Along those lines, when you build the website, do me a favor, keep it standard. Don't do home about accoutrements. If you're building a photography website, you can put things wherever you want. But take the supermarket analogy. If you go in and the marshmallows are next to the milk, if the supermarket's in alphabetical order the next time you go, you'll figure it out, but you're going to get a headache because you're uncomfortable. So,
that was the fastest hour podcast I've ever done. But I just want to tell the viewers that when I'm a big fan of you, I'm a big fan of your post. What I want to tell the viewers is when you go on those threads, you think you have a question, but when you start reading those threads, I mean, those other dentists are asking you questions and you're answering them of things I've never even thought about. So if you think you have a question, trust me, on Dental Town, it's already been asked.
Yes.
You've already answered it, and you've
Yes.
answered 10 more questions that my
Yes.
listeners have never thought about. Because this, the details of this just goes on for infinity.
And the search feature is there. You know, we tell people too, go to search and look. It's been answered 10 times. We'll do it again, but it's there for you. So it's great.
Well, David Wank, thank you so much for all you do for dentistry, all you do for Dental Town, and for being a true pioneer in the most explosive part of dentistry and commerce and business, which is the internet and all things internet.
Well, thank you so much for having me and for your time. I really appreciate it.
All
Thank you
right.
again.
And watch his new course, and I'll see you on the boards.
Thank you so much. I'll see you then.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, man. Thank you.